GCC, I'd like to invite Mr. Hussein Gobran, who's the lead sustainability and ESG advisor from Sustainability Square. Huge round of applause for Hussein, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today. And I'd like first to thank the organizers for this platform to discuss one of the most pressing topic in our region, sustainability and ESG. Today, I will be presenting our recent report on the state of ESG in the GCC region. And building actually on Mr. Lucas' point, the importance of data, I hope this presentation will give you insights into the performance and progress of ESG in the GCC context with organizations. So before we dive in, allow me to introduce myself. I'm Hussein Gobran. I'm a lead sustainability and ESG advisor at Sustainable Square. Sustainable Square is an established ESG and advisory firm founded back in 2012 with a mission to support organizations embed sustainability into their ESG operations and navigate the complexities of ESG. With over 430 projects and a satisfaction rate of 92%, and also a retention rate of 90%, we have earned a recognition of as trusted ESG advisors in the ESG space. And our team across 13 nationalities supports organizations into delivering tailored solutions in terms of sustainability and ESG. So our portfolio, we have a span of expertise across sectors. In each of these sectors, we implemented industry-specific solutions to address the challenges and help the organizations within their sustainability journeys. So today, we will go over the study overview on objectives and methodology. We'll uncover key regional trends in sustainability within the region. We'll go through the ESG integration alignments and the benefits and challenges facing companies integrating ESG into their strategies, and practical takeaways and best practices that are potentially helping you in your sustainability journey. So the state of ESG in the GCC report is part of a series that we started back in 2018 with our sustainability and the state of sustainability in the MENA region. Back then, the scope was wide, uncovering sustainability practices or performance across multiple countries. And in 2022, we chose to narrow down the scope to focus on the GCC to drive sharper insights that are actionable and relevant to our region. So post-COP28 raised significant relevance also and direction into embedding ESG in the GCC, and also highlights key trends into companies actually being aware and adopting ESG practices after COP28 in Dubai. So the purpose is clear, actually bridging the gap between the international expectations and regional realities, and also addressing the need for GCC-specific context to support organizations having the state and the awareness to have decision-making processes that are based on data on the GCC context. So the methodologies, we have surveyed over 100 organizations across the GCC with top respondents profile from the UAE and Saudi Arabia with 33% and 24% respectively. And the top sectors were oil and gas, media, technology, and financial institutions. And also we are uncovered, or the insights are driven from also a wide range of types of organizations. The respondent organizations were privately owned government entities and multinational corporations, ensuring diverse perspectives. So we focused on key trends, drivers, and practical takeaways that are based on each of their context. And we used cascading logic that based the questions based on previous answers of the organizations or respondents to ensure relevant insights and making sure that we capture the most relevant aspects of ESG based on the performance already in place. So key trends in sustainability strategies: compliance remain high, a driver for ESG incorporation, with 65% like companies citing it as the main driver. And also stakeholder demands raised to 31% with a constant upward trend from 2018, which is driven by regulatory demand and stakeholders' expectations. Interestingly, the reputation improvement has declined to only 10% this year, which is as a driver for ESG incorporation or considering ESG, which is actually like a very interesting insight that the shift shows that ESG integration is more than just branding tool, but actually a necessity for every business operation. So sustainability reporting transparency is on the rise, with 91% of respondents are actually disclosing their ESG strategy, their ESG performance in annual reports or annual sustainability reports, up from 75% with an also upward trend. Which is driven by increasing pressures from stakeholders, regulators, investors to enhance accountability. Key frameworks that are being adopted are the GRI and the UNGC, with 79% and 42% adoption rates respectively, which is showcasing the alignment with global sustainability frameworks, ensuring standardization and comparability with ESG disclosure. The newly introduced IFRS Sustainability Disclosure Standard are 70 are also being noticed in the region, with 67% of companies aware of the new disclosures, and 51% are ready to adopt them and plan to adopt them in the future. However, there are challenges into this adoption of frameworks, mainly the lack of internal training and lack of guidance and direction by the IFRS to implement the standards, with 45% and 44% respectively, and also the internal resource allocation and difficulty and adherence to the detailed reporting requirements are also present as a challenge. And to overcome these, companies should prioritize targeted capacity building sessions and trainings to actually enable them or enable their forces, internal workforce, to actually adhere to the IFRS and report with the newly IFRS sustainability standards. Actually, overcoming this will not only promote transparency and disclosure, but also will help companies to embed sustainability into their operations and making sure it is a core into their business strategies. So emerging topics, stakeholder expectations are also one of the key drivers into publicly disclosing ESG data. And also regulatory compliance is 67%, was also a very significant part of drivers, showing that regulations are coming, as also was mentioned earlier, and companies should be ready to adhere to these regulations. From the stakeholders, key stakeholders that are driving the ESG-related disclosure are boards and top management, which actually shows the internal push for accountability and and transparency within the organizations, with also investors and government regulations or governments and regulators following closely, showing the external push for ESG disclosure. We can see also access to capital is mentioned 32% as a driver for ESG integration, and we expect this to raise significantly in the future as ESG maturity raise. which unlock the opportunities for and incentivizing ESG compliant companies to have a more competitive advantage. So when it comes to ESG strategy alignment, we can see that 43% of companies surveyed this year have already ESG strategy in place, which is up from 36% last year, and showing significant progress in maturity and importance of ESG into the business strategy, as in showing ESG as a key strategic alignment or like key strategic driver that should be embedded within the strategy. And companies without ESG strategy decreased from 20% to merely 11%, suggesting that commitment to ESG is not longer an option, but a business necessity. And the strategic integration of ESG shifts towards, as I mentioned, ESG as a core business resilience and ensuring long-term success. When it comes to the benefits and challenges of ESG integration, the benefits are clear. We have enhanced brand reputation with 72% of respondents citing it as a very important benefits for them. And also improved investor relations, which, as I mentioned, will attract capital into ESG compliant organization and ensuring their overall competitive advantage. However, also challenges persist, which is mainly the lack of standardization of ESG standards and also lack of understanding of the rate of return on investment or the ROI of investing into ESG. And to overcome this, also the business case of ESG should be highlighted, ensuring that the returns are justified and the overall long-term value creation is showcased so that the companies adopting it, seeing it as a business imperative and relevant to their operations. So when it comes to net zero, we have 49% of companies established already short-term GHG emission reduction targets, which is reflecting a growing commitment to climate action, with sectors such as the financial industries and oil and gas leading this transition, reflecting their strong role into actually like the climate adoption into our region. The UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Oman actually led from a macro level and setting the benchmark in the region. And while also 90% of respondents only currently use carbon credits, 43% plan in the future to actually use carbon credits to further enhance their advancements in ESG and their climate action goals. And this actually will be further supported by the post-COP29 update that we recently have, which shows that the market value for carbon trading is expected to be $25 billion annually by 2030. So when it comes to gender equality, is also on the rise. 80% of companies prioritize gender equality and female leadership, which is also pushing towards an inclusive workplace and also positioning GCC companies as in the competitive global economy where equality and inclusion is one of the most important drivers in business operations. So the outlook and future trends. 48% of companies expect new ESG regulations, and also, as we can see, companies expect increased internal and external ESG communication with 71% and 75% respectively. The increased engagement with the CEO, boards, and employees with 64% each. And also the 45% foresee an increase in budget for sustainability and ESG. And these trends also show the proactive approach or highlight, let's say, the willingness of companies to invest and recognize ESG as part of the essential part of their operations. So key takeaways and best practices to embed ESG into your strategies is actually to adopt frameworks like IFRS, GRI, CSRD, to enhance compliance and competitiveness and ensure relevance with the global frameworks. Set clear ESG targets with measurable strategic ESG objectives that are aligning with your core business strategies. Prioritizing transparency and voluntary disclosure to build trust and communicate your ESG practices with your stakeholders. Leverage technology and utilizing AI-driven platforms to actually streamline data collection, enhance disclosure accuracy, and platforms like Squarely can also improve efficiency and reducing the cost of reporting. And foster collaboration, building partnerships across the GCC to share best practices and to work collaboratively towards a more sustainable landscape in the region. So closing remarks, the study highlights a very key fact, which is ESG is no longer about compliance. It is a driving force for resilience, long-term success, and also risk mitigation for your business. So success in ESG requires knowledge sharing and consistent transparency, as I mentioned, and focusing on long-term value will enable GCC companies to achieve immediate compliance and build strong competitive advantage, and ensuring business resilience while also contributing to the environmental and social factors in our region. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to have your questions, if any, and continue this important discussion. Thank you. Any questions? Please. Sorry, I cannot really hear the question very well. I think it's about the banks struggling to find.
No, I'm talking about the financing of sustainable assets.
Yes.
It looks like a lot of sustainable assets are being created, across GCC, whereas banks are still struggling to find a real sustainable assets.
Yes.
So, do you see that gap, or is that there's a gap in understanding of banks or the corporates? Because it looks like from your data and all, like a lot of corporates are very aware and they're up to sustainability, but still there are no sustainable assets to finance. Why it is so?
Yes, thank you so much. It's a very, very important question. Actually, the access to finance will be triggered. Also, there is existing actually sustainable bonds, and the incentive to have sustainability or like ESG compliant companies to have access to finances, there is a case for it. For example, we have Majid Al Futtaim, who took recently a bond with a zero interest rate, ensuring also some measurable targets to be achieved in condition to that. So if the access to finance is expected also to rise as ESG maturity itself rise. So as companies set measurable ESG targets and advance on their ESG agenda, banks will see this and also see the reduced, let's say, risks in their operation, because ESG also is a, let's say, risk factor. So more ESG compliance will mean, in turn, a lower risk, and also which will enable access to finance more easily, let's say. And from the finance also perspective, now we have banks tailor ESG products or sustainability-linked loans that will also be targeted to these ESG compliant companies. So the access to finance, I would say, if it is not that, there is already practices, but it's also expected to rise significantly in the future as well. I hope this answered your questions. Please. Let's take one more question for the time.
Thank you, Hussein. Very interesting results. I just have a question about, the sample. How did you identify the sample size? Because it seems to be, for me, it looks very optimistic. How did you, what is the profile of the sample size? How did you identify these companies?
Yes. Yeah. So when it comes to the sample, as I mentioned, we have surveyed more than 100 organizations across the GCC. And
So these are your clients?
yes, not mainly our clients, but also beyond our portfolio even. Clients that we didn't, our companies, organizations that we didn't even work with. And the study is bounded by the response. So we have reached to even more than that significantly, but as you know, this response rate is...
so it means this represents a pool of companies who are already ESG aware and engaged with ESG. That's why we have such
yes,
good
but
results.
it's not really the case because also the reaching out was not targeted to ESG compliant. Yeah, as you can see, even some companies don't have sustainability reports or not embedding sustainability within their strategy. So we made sure that the sample is representative, let's say, of overall organizations, but the response are limited by who answers actually the survey. And we made sure it is as
So
simple
how
as
did you
possible
make
for
sure
them.
it was representative of the landscape of
Because
companies?
we reached out to different organizations types. We didn't really focus on a specific a region or not region, a specific country or a specific sector, but we reached out to, let's say, a broader range of organizations. And we reached, the findings were mainly built on more than 100 responses.